Good evening to everyone here. Thank you for David. I think David also Sabah Society for inviting me for this talk. Basically, I just rush back. I don't have a slides. They asked me if I have a slides for my vision and development for Tanjung Aru. Actually, I don't have a slide. But more or less, we have in my mind what we wanted to do. Basically, I wouldn't tell you what I wanted to do. I would tell you what we have planned when we were in Marisan. What we actually have planned for Tanjung Aru, but didn't have the time to carry it out. Actually, I think I will start out with TAED. I think most of you, I would suppose, if you come here, you are more interested to know what happens to TAED. You know TAED, right? Yeah, the Eco Development Plan. I think I would see most people would always ask me about these questions. I believe David also would like to know about that. Let me see. Where should I start? Basically, a lot of people would say after we take over the government, they will say that we have actually changed our stand. You know, we have supported TAED and all that, which we were actually aggressively fighting against it when we were in opposition. Yeah, that's true. And I will tell you, partially true. Basically, we were fighting against this TAED when we were in opposition was simply because there was no transparency at all. And we're actually quite sure the previous chief minister was going to sell our land away. They're going to sell it for 4 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Offhand, I can remember. But something like that. 4 billion for that piece of land to be given away to foreigners. So if you don't develop, the land will belong to others. So that is one very strong reason why we're against that project. But we are not against development. I've made that statement when I was in opposition. I made that statement before. I was not against development, but I was against TAED if you sold the public lands away to the public, to the whoever investors. So that is a very strong, one of our very strong stand. So when we took over the government, basically when we took over the government, right, when we look at TAED, TAED has already been set up. They have spent, offhand I can't remember, but I think about 90 million. 90 million money has been spent in TAED to look into their, the environmental studies, recommendations, design, many other things. They have many other things set up and bought over lands, transfer and all that. So there are many things. I wasn't in it. I was later put into TAED committee only after when I be when they make statements about TAED will continue and all that, they make statement against the government, and then my boss called me, you sit in the committee don't say publicly in the public, not very nice If your minister talk against your government, then it's very weird So that time, very early in the beginning, when we look into TAED, basically it's like I'll put into illustration it's like when we think that it's not necessary for government to buy a car because it's not necessary. We think it's a waste of fund, no need to do that. But when we took over the government, the government has spent 90 million already in building that car. Already spent the money. Meaning the car is already half built. The structure is there, maybe we welcome them to come in first for a little bit so I can continue. Yeah, please come in. There's plenty of seats in front. I become organizer already. Come, please take a seat. Hey, you guys are comfortable if I speak English, man? It's okay, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay, please, so I can continue. Okay, I continue. So basically, when we took over the government already spent 90 million in building that car. Means the structure is there, engine is there, but maybe the tire is not there, the window has not been decided and the kind of thing. So the structure is ready. The point is, the structure is there already. So now what are we going to do about it? Of course, NGO will come to us and say, you should throw away this 90 million investment. You should just reject TAED, just close it, whatever. They will ask us to do that. But as a government, when you have already spent 90 million on that structure, you ask us to just chuck without looking into it. How do we make the best out of it for our people? That is, to me, wrong as a government. So when we look into that structure in TAED, right, we are very particular about what we're going to do. So there are a few statements TAED made that time, say that they're going to continue with TAED and all that. Then you also would see my statement that I came out and said, no, we will not proceed. That time, during our time, we are against it. So that was there was some contradicting statements during the earlier Warisan time. So then my president, of course, my chief ministers called me then and called me and said, you join the committee because that committee is under chief minister. So if you say that you are against our decision, so I said, okay, you put me into that. Ask the person the spokesperson not to simply say anything. So when we go into the TAED community, that's where we don't really make a lot of noise. You don't see a lot of public statements after that. But I'm going to tell you a few facts. Then people start to accuse, you have investors coming from China, you have investors from everywhere to look into it. So we have U-turn. We have taken a U-turn on our stand. Actually, that's not entirely true. Because when I sit into the committee, there are a few things that we set in front. For example, when you take the first offer to the previous few developers, because during COVID, they also find it quite hard to do it. So they came over to renegotiate, and then they wanted the land. Because the first deal was actually the land can be taken. That means they can take the land to auction, they can take the land to use for whatever they want to use, for bank, mortgages and stuff like that. And we told them that you cannot do that anymore with us. Number one, you can't take our land. So that land, if according to the design, 30% of the land will be developed, if I'm not mistaken, I also can remember something like that. 70% of them will be left a public space and given back to the government. That's the plan on the table. That time on the table, but we have not agreed to that plan because there's no developer yet. But that's like a draft, something like a draft, a rough idea how it's going to be. So if you guys remember, after a while, it becomes like we downscale. There are ideas about downscaling it because nothing has been confirmed. But there's a rough idea how we want to do it. So we told that anybody who are interested to come into, we inform anybody who are interested to come into TAED to invest that you are not allowed to take our land. So that's number one. That's very, very important thing that a lot of people will not. Of course, we did not make any statement, but we also did not allow anybody to take our land. So as you can notice, when we were in the government, Tanjung Aru land remains a Tanjung Aru land, open, freely accessible for public, and nothing has been changed. And in fact, we allowed the hawkers to go back and start doing businesses, and it's still publicly freely accessible during our time. Okay, now the okay, so that they have this idea. So there are many investors who came in. They also asked us, if you don't have, if you don't allow the land, can you do guarantor or not? The bank can can the government become guarantor or not? Then we also said we cannot. We won't do that. Okay, if you want to come in and invest, and you will bring us, I don't know if you have been to Sydney, like Manly Beach, or you have been to St Kilda in Australia, Melbourne. There's no reason for us to reject if they can bring a project that good into Sabah and they put it in Tanjung Aru, and there's no reason for us to reject it. That's number one. Number two is that there are a lot of things that we need to improve, like the sewages issues in Tanjung Aru is getting very worse, and we really need to develop it to actually address that issue. So there are many things that we can get from it if the development goes on, but not in the expense of the people. So that has been fairly in mind. So when we go into that committee, I remember there was one meeting, there were a few professionals. Of course, it's a role of professionals like TAED. They engage a lot of professionals. It's very highly, it's quite a difficult body to upkeep, the whole team. It's actually a lot of people. But it's done by Victor, Dato Victor, Dato Victor Pong, yeah. So during the meeting, we go to the extent of even finding the reclamation. So we talk about many other things. Can you reclaim last land or not? So we all asked them. So they said, okay, we want to do this, do that. So I asked them the very simple questions. If you reclaim, where do you find the topsoil? Because when you reclaim, you need topsoil. You need to have topsoil to actually reclaim the land, not just the sand. So I asked them, where did you get the topsoil? So they said, maybe Pinampang. I said, Pinampang you cannot, because during our time we already stopped, Warisan, we already in Pinampang, we stopped all the hill cutting projects. We put on hold all the hill cutting projects and we now allow them to do it. So there's no soil you can take from Pinampang. Then that time, during that meeting, Dato Sri Madius was actually in the meeting. So I said, unless Dato Madius allow you to cut in Toran, and he said, no, you also cannot cut in Toran. You also cannot take from Toran. So the nearest they can take, I remember, it was actually in Kalabakan or Kinabalu, I cannot remember, but I think something like that. So they find it very difficult to proceed with that project because the cost is so high for them to comply with whatever we're asking them to do. So that time, the things did not proceed. So many things, the developer come and go. So people come and chadang and then listen to our conditions, then they left again. So they come in and out like that. So at the end of it, there was this China investor who came in, then COVID happens. So we talk about downsizing it because the condition seems impossible for anybody to take it up. So that was the process of us ongoing, looking into TAED, how to utilize whatever money have been spent on TAED in the benefit of the people, definitely not in the expense of the people. So that's our stand. So after Warisan's, of course, fair as government, katak jam and everything, the government felt. The land remained exactly the same in Tanjung Aru without any changes. So that's a fact. Now, a lot of people say there's nothing to stop us from taking deposit from any developer if we have U-turn. Close it up, fence it up, whatever it is, we could have done it if we wanted to do it. And many have tried. Trust me, many have tried to come to me, many have tried to come to our president and said they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that, give money and all that. They have tried. But nothing have happened to TAED. We remain consistent with whatever stand we are. We're not going to do it in the expense of the people. So that is for TAED. Now, if you ask me TAED now, I'm talking about now. Maybe we'll still look at the same options if somebody is going to come in, genuinely want to develop our Tanjung Aru Beach without taking away the people's land and remain a public beach for all of us. I think it's worth looking into. That's my stand, but I don't know what kind of plan. And of course now, as JS has taken over, you have seen so many restrictions out there that even now to bring your dogs over for jogging also become an issue. They enclose many places and they do many things. I don't know what they do there, but parking area also they do a lot of things that they've done, a lot of restrictions they have put on. There's no maintenance and stuff like that. So of course, a lot of people in Tanjung Aru say that we should just again scrap the TAED and then just make it a public area and just build more public facilities and then do a central place for people to do busking and then more facilities to help to enable public to actually do picnicking, everything. So I think that one is no issue for us. I think as long as TAED cannot move on, if one day there's seemingly impossible to move on with TAED's plan, then that can come into place because we will scrap TAED and then go into remaining a public beach and build all the public facility for public. So that would be in the plan if TAED can move on. That was actually in our Warisan plan. But now, of course, we're not the government and TAED seemingly have been doing a lot of things to restrict, so I don't know what they want to do. They have been trying to sell the land, but it's quite hard thanks to COVID. And then the economic downturn, so a lot of people won't come for the time being. So the beach for the time being is still safe for now. Yeah, okay. So that's. If you have any questions, I don't know. Maybe you can ask later because I don't know if what might be the information you want to get from me, and I might not be saying things that you want to hear. So if any questions that you want to ask me, you can ask me later, even in between, if you feel important enough. I think I'm okay with it, That's as far as TAED is concerned, yeah. Of course, the other problem in TAED in Tanjung Aru is of course the rubbish, the littering. The rubbishes and very terrible. Basically, a lot of people will start blaming Tanjung Aru, the folks from Tanjung Aru and also Pulau Gaya and all that. Actually, we wanted to do a test when we were in the government, but we didn't have the time to actually carry it out, and it happens. I honestly believe that most of the litterings and most of the rubbish did not come from Tanjung Aru. It actually come from the upstream. They maybe as far as Apapau, Putatan, and then the river will flow down and then it will bring all the way there. Because I'm sure people in Tanjung Lipat did not throw all the rubbish. It came from the upstream. And then it got stuck there in Dikas, Tanjung Lipat there. So in order to resolve that problem, we were actually planning to do a lining in between the sea to block that flow of if there's any rubbish from the upstream, it will be blocked between the sea. They was actually looking into that technology or one method to actually check whether it is from Tanjung Aru or it is not from, but I'm actually quite confident most of that are not from Tanjung Aru. So we go to Pulau, most of the rubbish that actually gathered at the Pulau is actually not thrown by the people in Pulau because they also stay there. They themselves are staying there. They are also quite frustrated with the situation. And of course, this would be one of the very major plan that I would want to do for Tanjung Aru to actually resolve the littering and all these rubbishes that will collect along our seas. Now then Tanjung Aru Beach, as you can hear, right, the people going to the beach now, a lot are not allowed, or not say not allowed, they are not recommended to swim anymore at the beach. Not recommended to do that. Because why? Because the sea become more and more toxic because of the sewages being discharged to the sea from Tanjung Aru. So that's one very major concern for myself. I feel that there need to be development in Tanjung Aru in order to resolve one of the very major issue, which is sewages in Tanjung Aru. So that could be one of the pushing factors why we should develop Tanjung Aru, but not in the expense of it. Like I said, we must keep that last piece of beach freely accessible and available for our people. So that's the stand, the stand now. But I feel that there are a few things that we need to do in order to join. There's no more space in Tanjung Aru. That we cannot resolve the sewages problem, and then therefore it means that we will never be able to resolve the front beach, the swimming in the beach issue without any skin irritations problem. So that has to be resolved, and we have to. That will be one of the key point for myself lah. If a vision or any wishes, I will wish to resolve that for Tanjung Aru. So that's another one. Of course, the Tanjung Aru. I don't know how familiar you are, but Tanjung Aru, Kampung Baru, Tanjung Aru, Lama, that area is facing the sea lah. Basically, before the Sutrabur, but facing the sea side, right? I really honestly think that it's quite potential for them to develop into maybe a hub, not a hub, maybe a jetty, and then for some tourism to actually experience some of the houses. But we have to done it right lah. You have to work with the community so that the community can also make a certain amount of money, and DBK can make some money, so we can make it a tourism area around there, because that area have titles one. They already have titles, and certain bridge has already been done concrete. So we actually that can be looked into building it. I don't know how many have been to Tarakan. Tarakan is seemingly quite not a developed place when you come to Indonesia. But if you go to Tarakan and look at their houses on top of the water, it's fantastic. Cars can go through, even lorries can go through. It can be built to an extent where we have never seen or imagined. You don't have to repair that bridge every and over again. Actually, it can be done one shot, and it can be done so nicely. And I've seen it in Tarakan myself, and I was so impressed. And that should, maybe one shot we should have done it for most of not just Tanjung Aru, I think along all Sabah where it needed to be done. We can actually do that, and I think Tanjung Aru can be one of the role model. We can do that, pull that off, whatever that happened in Tarakan, and bring it to in Tanjung Aru, and that can be built into, definitely can be built into a tourism area with the jetty lah, of course. Now working with the community, so that's another thing that I think Tanjung Aru should do. Now, one of the biggest concern for Tanjung Aru right now that would include Sembulan. I think one of the major concern for me and the development that they must do is in Sembulan, where there are a lot of squatters, and there are a lot of people who are living in that area since generations without any proper facilities and amenities. They don't have water meter. They have water, but no water meter. They don't have proper electricity, and they are living in environment that's totally not acceptable, not healthy. But their lands are very valuable. Okay, their lands are very, very valuable. So a lot of people, especially Musaman, he will sow piece by piece lah. You know, he will do development. Development by development, like that. So when we were in the government, same proposal had come to us, asked us to develop here, develop there, and we stopped all the project. We stopped all the negotiation, because I think the entire Sembulan, including the landowners, should sit down together, and the state land, to sit down on one major development for entire Sembulan, not one project by one project, but a whole project as a whole, to build a township in Sembulan, so that you don't have issue of roads, you don't have issue of no community place, you don't have issue of no schools, many other issues lah. Because when you build a project, they don't care about other facilities. They just build because they want to make money. So that has happened for the past few decades lah. And then we hope that would change, so that we don't take in any proposals to come in, but at the same time, we did not. During our time, honestly, we did not renew the land title, because it would be very hard for us to develop if we renew the land titles. But at the same time, we will not exploit anybody's right. That means every landowners in that area will have their stake in that development. That's why therefore we need to sit down, and we already started that committee being started. Of course, the landowners were already identified, and we wanted to sit down and invite people who come in to develop it as a town, entire town. Because we also told many of the penduduk there who are quite resistant to move away from Sembulan, but we tell them for how long, for how many generations, for how long more we have to continue to endure without proper water, without proper, and that's right in the city of KK, and we need to change the image of city of KK. So we need to do that in order to give. So we have to build certain houses for them, for the origin people who are in Sembulan, who are unwilling to move out from that place, to stay in that place for them, and then the rest we will develop into city areas lah. So that will have to consider the your space, your schools, and everything lah. The roads, the accessibility, everything. So it can be built and town plan in one whole holistic plan instead of one individual project like that. So that has been put in place, and that is what we will continue to do when we come back as a government. I think that should be done, and it has to be done for Sembulan because that is really it's sore eye in the center of city, and I think that is something that we wanted to do. But with one project, is one person. There are a few candidates who came forward. They are very big developers in KL. They has built townships after townships. So we would like to look into people like that rather than one individual development every time. So that would be one of my vision if I come. I don't know if you agree with it, but I think that would be the best way to develop Sembulan lah. Of course, taking into account all the penduduk who has no land, and also the people who are landowners. So all this will be taken into consideration lah. So these are the I think the major issues that we face in the Tanjung Aru. Now, of course, the other one would be Pulau Gaya lah. Now, Pulau Gaya is another big part of Tanjung Aru. The people who live in the islands refuse to move lah. Okay, they don't want to move because they have been staying in the islands and they love to stay in the islands. Even when we offer them house to move to the Darat when we were in the government, there were this PPRT in what's it called? The name already. Keramat, and they call it Keramat PPRT lah. There's this Keramat PPRT was built, and we offer them to move. Also, they refuse to move. They don't want to move lah. They want to stay in the islands. So it's actually not easy. They have IC ones, I'm just telling you, they have ICs lah. So whatever it is, we don't want to go into that, but they have ICs lah. They are voting, so there are generations there, and there are many people who refuse to move. So we have no intentions of moving them for time being. There are a lot of proposals to build a casino that was rejected by us. We want to build a cable. We were hoping to build a cable over. We want to develop that place and another tourism. It's just like Hong Kong, you know. When you look over the opposite side, you can see like lightings, you know, at night. And then when they look over, they can see them both can make money out of the economic development from both sides. So our president, our chief minister then wanted to build a cable and to do the tourism thing lah. So I don't know how many lands belong to the government, how many lands still belong to the public. I mean, landowners. So they were already talks about this lah, but the casino was rejected lah. So just to let you know lah. And then of course I honestly think Pulau Gaya can be developed into one very good area because a lot of the Pulau Gaya at the back is actually a very nice one, you know. It's untouched. It's basically the shores are beautiful, and there are a lot of corals who can be built. You can actually plant a lot of more things. We have this plan to actually plant this chorus, and also there's one called what? There's one chorus farming actually beside. It's actually not the area where they stay, but you know there's this curve. There's one curve there where the shore is actually very calm one. There was actually a proposal for us to actually build the chorus there, and then they can actually use that as part of a tourism. And honestly, people in Pulau Gaya actually they are good workers lah. And so most of the chalets and most of the people that they work there, they actually, I know most of the chalet now lah because they all employ all the Pulau Gaya people, and they actually do very well one, you know. There are a lot of, actually, you'll be surprised, there are a lot of quite very educated people in Pulau Gaya. They're actually quite educated, they are graduates. It's just that they came from Pulau Gaya. So I hope there will be more structural plans to actually develop Pulau Gaya without displacing them. So that's the, basically, I think most of it, of Tanjung Aru. I'm not sure any other, now of course just for the info, like you look at that peak, right? So actually this area, actually we don't agree with this. We don't agree with this design. We asked them to change the design. We say we don't agree because one of the design, right, they actually have this bridge. Before they access to the public beach, there's actually an access. And I asked them, why you built that access? It's so weird. They said it's for design. But actually that would, to me, acts like something that's discouraging you from crossing that bridge. Basically, to access your beach, you have to go through that bridge. It makes me feel like there's a bit, what's it called, something that don't really encourage me, like, you know. I feel like you should make it in a public area that people can freely accessible. So we chadang them. You go to take a look at Malay Beach. Have you been to Malay Beach? I don't know, in Sydney. Have you guys been there? It's a whole beach, and then there's actually housing in between the beaches, and it's all freely accessible. People can just pass through houses like the entire. It's millions of people who go there every day, especially during summer. It's huge. It's a huge thing. It's like really great, and it's built, man-built, and it's really nice, and it becomes such a powerful tourism attractions for Sydney. And then St Kilda Beach is not that bad, but it's nothing compared to Manly Beach, but it's still much better than us lah. When it comes to the quality of the beach lah. So you go to St Kilda, it's not very far. It's in Melbourne, because I school in Melbourne. in Australia, New South Wales. So if we visited these places, so if you go to St Kilda Beach, you can see it's freely accessible. It's nice, but it's not as good as the design in Manly. So if you can do that Manly to bring it to Tanjung Aru, and you can have millions of people who come over, and that's not Chinese, they are, because these are Europeans lah. Europeans or maybe from the States, people who love it, and this is exactly where our tourism should look into. Instead of just bringing Chinese tourists into Sabah, we should look into also bringing the Europeans and from many other countries to come over to Sabah, and that could be one of the major attractions that you can do, because that has done really well in other countries. And I said it again, we are not against any development, but if anybody would genuinely can bring in this development into Sabah, there's no reason for us to reject it. There's no reason for us to reject a beautiful project that can help bring create jobs, we can bring development into Sabah and many other benefits for Sabah without taking away our land. So that would be my stand, and I think if there's any questions, maybe you can ask me after that, right? I'm not sure if this is what you want to hear, but maybe that would be about it, and then we will then receive questions from the ground or the public. Yeah. So with that, thank you very much. Yeah.